guys, what's up? It's Erin. I know that I did a reflection, I think, of my sophomore year, and then I never did one of my junior year, and I think that senior year really is probably one of the most important years of high school, and I hadn't made a video in a long time, and so I thought it was important that I make a reflection of my senior year, especially for anyone that's going into their senior year of high school. I hope that I can give you some advice and you can kind of see what my experience was like so that you know maybe what to expect for yourself, or maybe if you just want to know how my senior year went, that's what this video is about. So I have this little paper here that I wrote down. I'm just gonna go in like chronological order. Maybe in the end I'll just kind of give you my advice and things I learned. So yeah, let's just start it off. Talk about the first few weeks of senior year were just awesome. They were so awesome. You just like didn't care. I was ready to go crazy because I knew that it was my last year in high school and it was my last year like being around these people that I tried to fit in with for 4 years. And I just remember the first day of senior year was probably the most confident like first day of school I ever had. I didn't care at all. I was just ready to have fun. Like I didn't care what anybody thought. I was just all about having fun and just making the most of everything and just being super outgoing. In AP Econ, we have a boot camp week, which is super fun. Everyone gets assigned a team. You play games for like the entire first week of school. That week was just so much fun, and that was like my ultimate peak of just like going crazy, like it's senior year, nobody cares. And then after that, everything kind of soon went back to normal. In Southern California, at least, football games are a super big deal. Like that's the place to be Friday night in the fall. Those were super fun. As the weeks went on, like everything after like AP Econ boot camp just kind of like went down. I mean, it didn't get bad, but it, you just kind of like snap back into reality. As far as like classes and workload went, I actually barely had any homework, which is weird to say. I took 5 APs and my one elective was choir. So you would think that it was going to be like a super heavy workload, but I honestly barely had any homework, and that's because I don't know if my school's different, but something I've gathered from high school is like AP teachers honestly don't really care about giving you a bunch of work, at least in senior year, because at that point they're like, okay, you guys, you're an AP, you know what you're doing, like you don't need this homework to help you. And I don't know, honestly, like I barely had any homework. I know for some people it might be different, but I barely had any homework this year. I'll just go over the classes I took. So first period I had AP Government, second period I had choir, third period was AP Music Theory, fourth period was AP Lit, fifth period I had AP Spanish, and then I also took AP Econ. The beginning of the year I played tennis. I played tennis for 4 years at my school. I was going to concerts. I went to homecoming with a date for the first time, which was super fun. And everything was just going really awesome at the beginning of the year. I got a job babysitting, which was also my first job. And I had like some boy complications that kind of just like, went downhill, made everything kind of eh. I don't know, I pretty much dealt with those like the whole year. Second semester, I kind of hit like a low point, and like I felt distant from my friends because I would hang out with this boy and I wouldn't hang out with my friends as much, and so I started to feel distant from them. And also, I just want to say, if you haven't already realized, senior year is the ultimate point in high school that you get a feel for the type of person that you are and the type of people that you want to surround yourself with. At this point in the year, that's when I started realizing that a lot of the friends that I had, we were friends because we saw each other, but there wasn't a lot of stuff we had in common. That's when I just started to realize that like, especially at the table I sat at, there's like 2 different groups of people, and I don't know, I just realized that there was one group that I just didn't really fit in with that I usually hung out with like all of high school, and I don't really know how to explain it. So yeah, I just started to feel kind of like distant from friends. I kind of had that period where it's like, dang, like I don't really know if I have anyone that like really gets me. Like I thought I had friends, but now like I feel like I can't really connect with anyone anymore. But then things got better again. I decided to do the school musical in spring, and then things went back downhill. I got grounded, but I'm not gonna get too much into that, but basically I was grounded for probably like a month or 2. So one of my biggest pieces of advice is don't be a potato on the weekends. Go out and do things with your friends, because it honestly was not until I was grounded that I realized I took my free time for granted. I'm the kind of person where it's like I go home on a Friday night and like I watch TV and I spend time with like myself and like I do nothing, and Like, I honestly just, like, spend the whole weekend, like, online shopping. And not that, like, I did that every single weekend, but I did it most weekends, and it wasn't until I was grounded that I realized how much stuff I actually want to go out and do. The senior year goes by so fast. If you want to hang out with your friends, hang out with your friends, make those plans. Don't be lazy. You're gonna want to go out and do stuff, and you're gonna regret it if you don't. So that's my advice. Okay, so second semester, okay, this was more stressful because AP tests are coming up, you're hearing back from colleges, there's finals coming up, everything's just kind of piling up all in one spot in the year. The beginning of senior year was like fun and I had so much energy, and then like towards the end, like towards second semester, I honestly did not give one shit about anything. I thought I would be the type of person that I would get super sentimental towards the end of the year, and I would like start getting emotional, like, oh my gosh, like it's our last time in high school. I just come to the point where I started to really accept that everything's coming to an end. At this point, I just felt ready. Like, at this point, it's like the shock that it's your last year kind of just starts to fade away, and you start to just accept it. Let me tell you, at the end of the year, I was just ready to move on. Okay, so I think I'm just kind of going off on a tangent now. I wrote this little section of things that I learned that I want to share with you. These are just like little lessons that I took away from senior year. It wasn't until after graduation that I was looking back and everything just kind of hit me. Like, I really learned a lot just looking back at senior year. So one thing I learned, you are not more than or less than anybody. I think senior year is pretty much the point where everyone's to that mature level where it's like, I remember freshman year, like everyone was really like cliquey and like everyone was just kind of struggling to fit in and everyone was a little bit fake. And then senior year, from what I think I saw, is like everyone was just to that point where we kind of reached maturity and everyone's just comfortable with who they are. I don't know how to explain it. Everyone's a lot more friendly your senior year. Like, you can honestly, like, I used to be like a really scared and shy, and like if there was someone popular, I would be like terrified to have a conversation with them. But at senior year, like, that was the point where I realized, like, I'm not less than or more than anybody. You just reach that point of maturity where it's like, sorry, I just feel like I'm repeating myself, where you realize that everyone's equal and you can have a conversation with anyone, and it's chill. Another thing I learned, don't compromise your beliefs depending on who you're around. This is something that, looking back, I found myself so guilty of because I had friends that had different values than I did, and I didn't think they would accept me for certain things that I did. And you know, there's some things that you want to tell your girlfriends and you want to talk about, and there were some things that I felt where it's like, I can't share these stories about me because I feel like they wouldn't accept me. Like, I wouldn't lie, but I tried to like cut out certain things and make myself sound like a better person when I was talking to certain people. I was just scared that they would think that I'm a bad person. I know that I have different values than some of my friends, and so like if they're like ranting about one thing like that I didn't really agree upon, or I felt like I connected with, I kind of like take their side and be like, oh yeah, like that's stupid, like I don't know why people do that. And honestly, I was just kind of like being fake so that people would think, so people wouldn't judge me for who I really was. And I think that's the biggest mistake you can make, is just being not true to yourself. If you have different values than someone else, like, it doesn't matter. You should own your value. It doesn't matter if people don't accept you, because like, these are my friends that I was talking to, and I shouldn't have felt that fear that they wouldn't accept me anyways. And I look back and I'm like, I regret not being true to myself because I feel like I was just doing myself a disservice. It's okay, like, you don't have to be one way or another. You can talk to someone and share things about yourself with someone that has different values. And I know I'm being like super vague, but just be true to yourself. I'll say things like, oh, like, radiate goodness, like, be nice to people, like, all that good stuff. And then I realized that that wasn't something that I was necessarily practicing, because at the end of the day, I would just have this bitterness and this, like, internal rage that built up in me. If you mentally forgive people, you're going to be so much more at peace with yourself. It's really going to improve your relationship with people, because it's just going to be, like, this tension if you have grudges against people. You don't have to forget, but you can just forgive and move on. See the best in people. That's another thing, kind of along those lines that I was talking about. Like, I would always, like, be really bitter at something someone did. I would, like, go home and I would be really bitter about something that someone said. In reality, no one's a bad person. You just need to look for the best in people. You can't change people, but if you're around someone, highlight the good qualities rather than like internally like focusing on the bad. You know what, I'm just rambling on. I'm just gonna move on to the next thing. Okay, this is the last piece of advice. Put yourself out there, talk to people, do things, don't just sit around, make the most of it. Another thing that I regret doing senior year was just being shy. I just get really shy after I get to know people, which is kind of the opposite of what you would think. I wish I had talked to more people I didn't know and gotten to know more people, because something that I'm just now learning is I'm not actually as socially awkward as I think I am, and I think that's always something that's held me back, especially senior year. I know at the beginning I said I was like super outgoing, but then as soon as like the year went on, I was like, oh, I kind of just want to like tiptoe around and like not really rock the boat. No, I just want everyone to like me, so I'm not gonna risk putting myself out there as much. I feel like it was worse for me to just sit around and be quiet than it was if I had just like talked to new people and met new people and made new connections. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there and do new things, because it really doesn't matter. If you guys have any questions or comments or want to ask about anything that I may have left out in this video, you can leave it in the comments down below. But yeah, I'm just gonna end this video here. To anyone that graduated this year, congratulations! And to anyone going into their senior year or just going into their next year of high school, make it a good one. Okay, bye!